Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Starseeds and Lightworkers podcast here on Quantum Portals. And we're just laughing here because every time we try to start the program, there's always something that weird that happens, and we were playing our opening music, and all of a sudden, so we were just laughing. I said, next thing you know, we'll just have the screen taken over by aliens, something. But I just want to say thank you for joining us tonight. We have a very, very interesting podcast here with Soua Stuart Xiong, and we are going to be looking at the second part of his presentation. He started last month, and if you have a chance, take a look at that. Like it's not necessary to see it before this one, but you can get a bit more of a background as to Suha and some of the things he went through. But as well, I want to just invite you guys to please sign up for our newsletter. We have interesting stuff coming up on our newsletter, so just sign up. And I'm thinking if the moderator could put the address, that would be kind of cool. I don't know if he can, but if he can, that would be great. And if not, we will put it out there later on. But as well, we are going to be having an interesting conversation tonight, not only because of Suha, but because, as again, I always try to sort of stay away from the politics, but yesterday was supposed to be the so-called disclosure in the State of the Union address by the President of the United States. But I don't know if that happened. So if anybody watched it last night and the President gave out any kind of interesting tidbits about disclosure, I would love to hear it. But as you know, on this show, I've been following that whole thing for a long time. I mean, let's face it, we've had guests on the show about that. But by the same token, many astrologers are talking about how June and July are going to be the months in between. That time between June and July is going to be the time when we're really going to have disclosure, and there's something's going to happen. I don't know. A lot of people don't know exactly. It's hard to sort of pin down, but that it's going to be a time when we're going to really know without a doubt that we're not alone. Now, clearly, if you're watching the show and you're one of our members, you know that we're not alone. I mean, let's be honest. But I think what's going to be interesting is that the average person is going to be given facts without a doubt that we're not alone, that there's life out there. And to be honest, I find that people are really starting to open up to the idea. I know that if I spoke about this 5-10 years ago, people would have been like, you crazy. But now I find that people are seem a bit more malleable, much more open-ish, and are starting to come to the terms that, okay, because I find it's in the air. I find it's really in the air and it's kind of palpable. So, but that's just me. In any case, I just wanted to say hi again to Suha. Hi, Suha. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Crystal?
I'm doing fine. And I'm so glad that you're back here again to speak with us because your story was so compelling. And I remember when you first arrived on our show, I was literally on the edge of my seat, like, oh my God, all this stuff is going on. And I think what was so compelling about it, and what I remember from a lot of the comments in the chat of that time, is that a lot of people have experiencing a lot of the same things. Maybe not exactly, but a lot of people have been in contact. And it seems to be ratcheting up quite a bit. And I know that, as I mentioned in my opening comment here, that we actually have the president of the United States talking about the idea that he's going to release these files. So nobody's ever done that. I mean, some people have talked about it. Some people had hoped that maybe Obama would have done that, but no. So he's, I know you're in the States right now.
Mhm.
From your perspective, what do you think? I think you mentioned that you feel that he's going to be the disclosure president. Did you want to sort of expand on that?
A lot of people believe that he's going to be this disclosure president. I'm sorry, the disclosure president,
Mm-hmm.
simply for a couple of things. First, he did start Space Force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also, I believe that he is choosing to selectively release information. I don't believe it's to benefit the population. I believe he is a president that will release information selectively to benefit himself.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so he is not a traditional president. A traditional president would not even go near this. And because he's not a traditional president,
You think?
this is an area that he will touch if he believes that this can distract from what's going on everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
And but it is a move in the right direction. It is a move in the right direction. And we have to discern what comes out too, because we must remember that our governments have been holding this stuff for a very long time. Why now? And so we must tell ourselves, whatever comes out, we shouldn't just jump on it right away. We have to discern. Why are they releasing certain things? And let's not just fall in, but be careful, okay?
Right.
Because we have to also remember that what comes out um, is it may be the beginning of how they paint their narrative.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So
I know that, oh, sorry, but I know that some people have talked about how this might be the beginning of Project Bluebeam. A lot of people have talked about Project Bluebeam. I know that Werner von Braun, who used to be the head of the NASA back in the 60s, talked about how that they would use this as like a final ploy to have world control. And so I don't want to sort of get into the conspiracy too much this evening because we are going to be talking about what you're saying. But in terms of, it's out there and people are talking about it. I think you're right. We have to be discerning because, yes. And I think that people, like I said, people who watch this show know that there's stuff out there because either they've had their own experiences or they believe and they listen to and they watching guests like you on the show, and so it resonates with them. But at the same time, I'm glad that it's happening now and not, let's say, 20 years ago when I don't think people were as discernible. I don't think people were ready, A. And B, I don't think people had the level of discernment. And some people would argue with me and say, yeah, but they still don't. But I think that people are much more willing to question what they're seeing only because, for example, you see a lot of AI slop. You see a lot of trickery with AI and different videos and voice manipulation and all that people come to expect that maybe what they're seeing is not real. And I think that 20 years ago, we didn't have that. So people would have just automatically sort of taken it, hook, line, and sinker. But now I think people are saying, wait, is that AI? Is that like some tricks? You know what I mean? Is that sort of where you were going with what you were saying?
um, I I do agree with some of that, but my angle is coming from just the history of the current administration. Okay, it's either meant to distract us, or it's it's a strategy that is built to gather money. Okay, and
Exactly.
so if let's just say hypothetically more selective files come out, and they could, why don't they just do a huge drop of of tons and tons of UFO and ET files? But I believe it's not going to be a huge, massive drop. It's just going to be selective. And not only that, but the selectivity of this information. It let's just say, hypothetically speaking, it's being used to help build up a reason to increase a particular budget.
Absolutely. That's the
Okay.
thing. Absolutely.
And so if you follow the administration, there's money behind
Exactly. Follow the
there's
money.
yes, and
Yeah.
it's money.
Yeah. No, absolutely. 1,000%. It's money. And I know that we're trying to be selective as to how we're talking about this here tonight because we don't want to sort of just jump into it too much. But there's definitely when you look at the so-called hearings that have been taking place in the last couple of years, a lot of them are saying, well, it's a threat to our airspace, and it's a threat to this, and it's a threat to our military, la la la. It's a way to sort of increase like you said, a certain kind of budget that would help to make certain people rich. But also, when you consider some of the scandal that has been going on in the last year with a certain particular person who died under mysterious circumstances, it's used to distract from that as well. It has like a dual purpose. So, I think, yeah, we're definitely, it's a distraction from certain files, and it's a distraction and also a way to sort of funnel money into a certain sort of yeah, industrial complex. Anyways, so tonight, after all that, tonight I want to introduce to you Soua Stuart Xiong. Stuart, can you give us just a little wee background as to who you are, and just maybe just a quick overview of the first part? I know that some people will be able to go back and see the first part, but if they're just joining us tonight, can you just sort of give us sort of like a cliff notes of what we talked about last time you were here, and about who you are?
Sure. I am an abductee, an experiencer, and contactee. I started having experiences in 2017 after my first out-of-body experience. I started having lots and lots of paranormal activity in my home and events occurring, and then visitations from ETs, and also being taken and having things done to me, including being tortured by some of the ETs. Now, not all ETs are like this, the particular group that took and tortured me. The majority of them that I encountered are very benevolent and very, very, um, very peaceful. But I've had numerous experiences. I've lost count. Okay. And in the previous presentation, that was the first part of my multi-stellar presentation. And basis, the the basis for that is that over these last several years, I have discovered that I've had a past life or multiple past lives in multiple different ET civilizations and ET species. And first, starting with reptilian, gray, Antarian, Pleiadian, Andromedan. And then as of last year, I was being contacted by the Lyrans as well as the Syrians. And so it was a shock that I had existed in as a member of these civilizations and species.
Mm-hmm.
And it what it did was it gave me a different perspective. It gave me a very different perspective and a more incumbency and more and a higher perspective. And I came to the conclusion that I am not just from this or that star system. I'm a star seed that is multi-stellar, and that and I also believe that most people are multi-stellar.
Mm-hmm.
You did not just come from, if you're a star seed, you did not just come from one civilization, but you've probably existed in multiple different civilizations as as a as a member of multiple different species. Many people only remember the most impactful or the most recent um, incarnation,
Mm-hmm.
but due to the veil of forgetfulness, many of us have actually been had incarnations and past soul expressions in various different species across various different star systems.
Mm-hmm. And I know that when we spoke last time, I mean, we spoke a lot about a lot of things last time, but you specifically were mentioning how you were being looked upon by some of these different groups as a leader, or to take up your leadership role like you did before. Did you want to sort of touch upon that for people who were not here last time? And where does that leave you now in terms of your experiences?
All of my all of my experiences with ETs and my communication with them, and also much of what I've learned from them and what was channeled to me has led me to this point in my life where I understand that all of these past incarnations and all of the experiences from them contain wisdom and contain energy. Each lineage, I each lineage contributed a particular frequency to my being. And in this particular, and also I learned from my guides that each one of these past incarnations were just to prep me for my most challenging incarnation, and that is here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had many incarnations on Earth. Okay.
Okay.
And the and it and I've come to understand that this myriad and this multi-stellar nature is really to help right now during this beautiful time on our planet, which is the time of ascension. And my energy here is to help promote unity.
Okay. Wow.
Coming from multiple backgrounds, it is really to weave all those lifetimes together as one and to promote unity.
Okay. Wow.
Oh,
And so I do have a quick question here from, I think it's from Renee Mathieu 5883. Hi, Renee. You're asking about what do they look like, and you want to know about the different groups. I think that if you watch the first video, you'd probably get a better understanding of the different groups and what they look like because it's the whole gamut. And in that presentation, Stuart actually had some slides and some files that he used to illustrate some of what these different group beings looked like. But Stuart, did you want to expand on that, or do you feel I think maybe just the first episode would be more suitable to that, or did you want to comment on the different groups?
if some individuals are curious, they could go to the previous video and watch it. But I will expand upon some of the basics. Of course, reptilians.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they there's different types of reptilians. They come into different sizes, different shapes, different colors. But at the top of the hierarchy of the, let's say, the Draco are the dragons. Okay. And they come in all shapes and sizes as well. Okay. When it comes to gray aliens, there's the small ones, there's the medium-sized ones, there's the tall ones. Some are muscular, some are skinny. There's many different types and species of grays. So there's not one uniform look. Okay, just like the Pleiadians. Not all Pleiadians are blonde hair and blue eyes. Many of them have darker skin. Many of them have dark hair. Many of them, the particular group that I was a member of, on their planet, it was the females that held the more dominant roles. They were the warriors. They were the paladins. They were the ones if that went to war. Okay. The men were like the scientists. They held certain positions that were not as aggressive, but the women were aggressive. Also, and so there's different types of Pleiadians, different cultures of Pleiadians. It's not just one particular uniform group. And then there's, of course, the Andromedans, blue skin. They're all not blue. Some have a grayish skin. Um, there's Syrians. Okay, Syrians have blue blue skin, and also there are feline beings from Sirius. So just because it is a being is from a particular star system doesn't mean that they're all this. Okay, there are reptilians in the Pleiadian systems. Okay, and they're known as Pleiadians. They're reptilians, but they're also known as Pleiadians because they're from that particular
But
system.
how
So
did they end up there though? Like if they is it sort of like for example, I'm obviously of African and Jamaican descent, and I live in Canada, so I'm Canadian because my parents came here. Is it something like that that you have the Draco there as well, like that call themselves Pleiadians but are actually more reptilian? Is it, you know, am I making sense with that
Yes,
example?
I get where you're coming from,
Yeah.
but not all reptilians are Draco.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, there are many species of reptilians that are not affiliated with the Draco, and they are not Draco. And so, and there are many benevolent species and groups of reptilians. Okay, like for instance, I received a visit from some very benevolent reptilians one year from the Orion Council, and I was amazed when they were when they were in my presence, because their energy was completely different from all the previous reptilians um, that I had encountered. Because the majority of the reptilians that I've encountered and have had face-to-face interactions with, they they all have a huge, strong, piercing energy. It's like when I'm around them, my entire body is vibrating, and it's strong, and the energy is so strong that it's like your skin almost crawls. But these particular reptilians, their energies were like, I compared it to the archangel energies, very light and very, very subtle and very, very loving.
Wow. Okay. And so you felt that, so those particular reptilians had relations with some of the other Pleiadians that were there, like the usual blonde hair, blue eyed aliens. Were they working together, or because if they're in that star system and they're not the typical reptilian, for example, then I assume that they have a different relationship with the different groups around them. No.
So most, so not, so we can't put all reptilians into one basket. Okay. Many of them, many of them have their own lineages, many have their own cultures, and many of them are not affiliated with the Draco.
Okay.
And they have evolved on their own. Many of them actually have had interactions with the Draco and have have pushed back on the Draco.
Okay.
Okay. And many are not in alignment with the Draco. And not the Draco, they do have a considerable, um, I'll say they do have a considerable empire. However, they there are many different groups and types of reptilians that are not affiliated with them, and
Mm.
they're in many different star systems, and they coexist peacefully with other groups of ETs.
Okay, great. And so for tonight, um, I think you wanted to continue with where we left off in the first episode, and before we go into that, you talked about a friend of yours that helped you through your experiences and helped you to overcome some of your experiences, and I think that you were referring to Matthew Ryan. Did you want to talk a little bit more about him and how he helped you as to discover your starseed abilities and to help you protect you because that you were going through a lot at that time?
Sure, yes. As a matter of fact, I did mention him in tonight's presentation, so I'll
Mm-hmm.
discuss him now, and then
Sure.
when I get to that slide, I'll just quickly
Okay, perfect.
move
So I'll
through
let
it.
you I'll let
But
you
yeah,
get with
okay.
it. Yeah.
So with Matthew Ryan, I in the very beginning, in the very beginning, after my first out-of-body experience, April 2017, like I said, I was just coming out. My energy began to explode, and I was attracting all this attention from all these different beings. And what ended up happening was I was getting harassed by not only ETs, but dark shadows, parasitic beings, all different types of beings. And when we are just first coming out, we many of us, we lack the ability to protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was constantly being harassed by different types of beings. And luckily, one late night, I couldn't sleep and I was laying in bed and I was listening to Coast AM. And Matthew Ryan was a guest on Coast to Coast AM. And as I listened to him speak, I said to myself, oh, yeah, he's the guy. He's good. He can help me. And so my first several sessions with him was phenomenal. He he basically protected me until the point where I could protect myself.
Okay.
One of the first defenses that he helped to erect around me was he put a cloak around my apartment so that these ETs could not find me. They could not locate me. And at first I was like thinking to myself, really? And I still had that little doubt in me. I was like, really? But what ended up happening was it was effective. As a matter of fact, in one of the slides, I'll talk about it now.
Sure.
One night, one night, one night, one evening, I was home, and I can feel the ETs. When they are outside of my apartment building, I can I can feel their consciousnesses and I can feel their energy. It's like my skin begins to tingle, especially my legs. My legs are what connects me to the not to the non-physical world. And so when my legs start tingling, I'm like, oh my God, they're close by. So the Greys and the reptilians were pretty much outside of my building because I mean, I was feeling it, but they weren't coming into my apartment. And I would peep outside and I wouldn't see anything. But I knew something was there because I could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I could hear a ship moving up and down the block. And I was like, whoa, they're just moving back and forth. It's as if they can't locate me. And so I called one of my friends, Deanna, this was when I was still living in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. And my friend Deanna, she's very gifted. And I called her up and I said, Deanna, do you hear this loud noise outside? And then she connected with my energy and she said, yes, well, that's a ship. They're moving, they're scanning your building and they're scanning the neighborhood. They can't locate you. I'm like, oh, great, because Matthew put up this cloak that it was supposed to make me invisible to them, like they couldn't detect me. And she was very impressed with that cloak and it actually kept me safe. It kept me safe for a while. Now, every time Matthew put up a defense for me, eventually they found a way to break through it. And then he would put up another defense. Another defense that he put through, that he erected, was this energetic maze in my home. It would constantly shift. And he said, if they if they get inside the home, they will not be able to reach you because the maze is constantly shifting. The
Okay.
only thing they could do is leave.
Oh.
And of course, I could not see this shifting maze. I said to myself, is this even real? But it kept me safe. I was not getting visits because these ETs were visiting me every single night, trying to pull me out of my body. And one day, my friend Deanna came over, and as soon as she came through my front door, she said, Soua, where did this where did this shifting maze come from? And I'm like, you can see it? She's like, yes, I can see it. It's constantly shifting in your home. I'm like, well, I can't see it, but I'm glad you can see it. I mean, that validates that, hey, it's here.
I guess
You
it
know,
is there.
right. And I said, Matthew, put it up. She's like, great. She's like, this is awesome. And so and so and eventually they found a way to break through that, and then he would put like another defense up, but eventually I was able to I was able to start protecting myself. And as a matter of fact, I'll actually put
Sure.
up my
Sure.
my screen share.
Yeah, sure. So while you're getting that up, everybody, if you haven't, anybody has any questions or they want to ask, we can do that. I think we had one quick question, and this is a question from Renee Mathieu again. And Renee is asking, does Draco mean dragon? I don't know. Does that mean dragon? Sua? Does Draco,
Draco
yeah, does that mean
Draco is
dragon?
short. Draco is short for draconian.
Okay.
However,
Mm-hmm.
the root of that actually does go back to the word dragon.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great.
The Draco reptilians,
Mm-hmm.
they they are very prideful.
Mm-hmm.
They um they pride themselves on and they they indicate that they are direct descendants of actual dragons. So
Oh,
that's why
okay.
they're very, very proud. They they believe in that, and they follow a lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
these lineages, and they pride themselves on actually being descendants of actual dragons, and they're the
Okay.
humanoid versions
Okay.
of these dragons.
Okay, that's great. Wow, so I learned something new today. But I
Mhm.
will let you start with your presentation. Go ahead, Sua.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip through some of the first
Mm-hmm.
slides. Let's see, let me go into full screen mode.
Yeah. But I do find it interesting because, and then I guess it kind of explains why they look like dragons, I guess, right? Because
Yes,
they're descended from dragons. That's why they look reptilian, as it were. So yeah, that makes sense.
yes,
Okay.
and as you move up the hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
they have wings.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and I'll just go through this level
Sure.
real quick. In
Mm-hmm.
the beginning, I wasn't able to protect myself, and I was getting visits from all these different types of beings. And luckily, um, I, I found Matthew. And in this particular example, in the text, I detailed an event that happened to me. This is an example of how I was being harassed.
Mm-hmm.
One day I'm laying, this is during daytime. I'm
Mm-hmm.
laying in bed and all of us, and just relaxing, wide awake, and boom, I see this invisible human shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's invisible. I can see through it, but it's like the predator, how you can see the silhouette,
Okay.
and it's right in front of me, and then it jumps on top of me, and it holds me down. I couldn't move, then I couldn't scream.
Mm-hmm.
Then I see a female walking in walking into my bedroom to the foot of my bed, and boom, I felt all my energy being drained. Then I passed out, and I woke up over an hour later, and I barely had any energy. Like they took all my energy, and I had just enough energy to pick up the phone, and I called my friend. I'm like, hey, what happened to me? And she connected with my energy, and she's like, Sua, that was a that was an incubus and a succubus. They both tag teamed you. You were easy prey, so they jumped on you. I mean, so these beings, these parasitic beings,
Mm-hmm.
they were relentless, and also the ETs were relentless. The Greys, I have a different perspective on the Greys now.
Okay.
But back then, I hated them. I despised them, and the Greys were relentless. And as a matter of fact, this particular example,
Mm-hmm.
like for instance, I developed the ability to break free of their paralysis that they place on you.
Okay.
And so every night I would just basically fight them off of me until 5, 6 in the morning, and then I'd get like an hour or two of sleep before I go to work. Well, one particular early morning, they tricked me. I was in bed. Well, late night, I was in bed. They kept harassing me. So I ran into the living room and I jumped on my couch. I thought maybe if I change rooms, they won't bother me. Nope. They followed me to the living room. They were messing with me. They kept on trying to pull me out of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And one particular morning, I basically just fought them off with me until like after 5. And then after that, I felt the energy in my apartment shift. Once the energy shift into when they're in my apartment, it's very dense. Once the energy shifted into a light state, I knew that they were gone. But this one particular morning, they tricked me. One of them stayed behind, and he hid, and he suppressed his energy, so I couldn't detect him. But I couldn't detect him because one, I was exhausted too, and so he stayed behind. And as I began to relax, and I thought that they were gone, and I closed my eyes, he came through the wall behind me. and he put his hand right into the middle of my back, and he pulled my light body, basically my soul. He pulled me halfway out my body, and I look to my right. I see my upper body and my head still laying down, and I look down and I can see that I'm still connected to my body from the waist down. And so he was trying to fully pull me out of my body, and I fought him. I fought him with all my will, and I would not, and I refused to budge. And finally, he let go, and then I snapped right back into my body. And once I snapped back into my body, I could sense that he was gone. But the spot right in the middle of my back where he put his hand through, man, that this huge throbbing pain started coming, boom, 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 and that pain stayed with me for an entire day. It was it was not fun when when these when these grays were a particular group that were working with the Draco reptilians.
Can I just ask a quick question, because
Mhm.
I think it also calls into question what's happening with people and their energy, because it seems to me, and I mean you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that you really had like zero protection. Like, I mean, it's one thing, for
Mhm.
example, to go out in the cold, and if you have a nice winter coat and boots, you know, you're protected and you can still feel a bit of cold, but you have at least that sort of protection. It seems kind of, if all these incubus and succubus are coming and all these sort of parasitic creatures, is it because you had absolutely zero protection? Was there a hole in your etheric field? What was it that made you so vulnerable in that sense?
Okay, so let me. I'll be very great question, and I'll
Yeah,
be very happy to answer that.
sure.
Most of our star seeds, most gifted people, most people with abilities, most healers, light workers, when we begin to awaken, our energy, our chakra system, our it begins to it begins to brighten up, it begins to glow,
Okay.
and we shine brighter than most people. Our light is much, much brighter than most people. Okay. And if you were in the if you and if you were in the non-physical world, if you had out of body experience, that you in the non-physical world, you could tell. You could tell people glow. However, those of us who those of us who are awakened, and those of us who our specific lineages, and we're starseeds and this and that, we glow much brighter than normal people. Our light shines much brighter, and it extends farther away. So we are like these,
Like a beacon, I
light,
guess, you know?
yeah, these beacons, these lighthouses, and these beings flock to us. And they flock to us because of one thing: our light tastes better than a regular
Oh,
person's light.
I see.
Our
And
light is very, very tasty to them. They would prefer our energy versus a regular person's energy. But the only way for them to be able to feed off of us is to lower our energy to a particular point to where they can actually hook in and feed. And how do they do that? They they terrorize us. They play tricks on us. They scare us. They they prevent us from sleep. They do all sorts of things to lower our vibration to a point where we're just cool enough for them to feed and not get burnt.
okay.
It's like it's like you eating a very, very good dish, and it's piping hot, right? But you just can't put it in your mouth. You're gonna burn your tongue. What do? You have to blow on it to cool it down before you can put it in your mouth. So these beings prefer our energy over a regular person's energy. And they have to do what they do to cool us down, to get our frequency to a point where they can feed. So they would rather feed off of us
I
than
see.
most people.
And let me ask you something, because I know sometimes, you know, some people will say this was happening for a while and then it stops. If you stop getting visits from these types of beings? Is it because your energy has gone down and you no longer are a superstar, as it were? Or is it because you've learned how to? I mean, I think this probably goes into your conscious shield, the slide here. Maybe it sort of dovetails into that. But I'm just sort of wondering, is it because one's light is no longer shining? Does that mean that you've gone down in your worth? If I'm if I'm sort of wording this correctly.
If you are a particular type of person, they will continuously come for you
Okay.
because they if I'm a light worker, they
Okay.
and I cannot protect myself, they will continuously come for us. Okay.
Okay.
And many light workers around the planet understand that we get targeted, not only from these non-physical beings, but we get targeted from we get targeted from these bloodlines. We get targeted because of our light.
Okay.
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 And now for me, a lot of this stopped once I was able to erect a shield around
Okay.
me.
Okay. So that's sort of what I was asking. I think it's not a much so it's not so much a matter of your light has diminished, because I think that's sort of what I was asked. That,
Mhm.
oh, they're no longer coming from me, so I guess my light is diminished. So I guess I'm a regular person. Or is it because once you've created a shield, you're no longer the screaming beacon like you were before? Is it more from that perspective?
Kind of,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So
I'll let you go with the
those,
slide, because I
yeah,
think that's what the slide's alluding to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those of us who follow a particular path, our light is always bright. However, certain things can dim it, but it's always inside. It's always bright, and only gets brighter. Okay. Now for in my particular example, like for instance, we never lose our light. Our light inside is always bright. It's just the outer coverings that we put on ourselves that dim it. But once we remove these outer coverings of fear, frustration, and some of our belief systems, then our light begins, and we take off these layers, then our true light begins to expand and really shine.
Okay.
But in my particular example, all this harassment stopped when I was able to create my own shield. I actually did research. I researched I researched various different types of shields, and I created my own shield using seven chakra color energies:
Okay.
silver light energy, gold light energy, dragon energy, and phoenix energy. I call it a multi-layered shield, and I used multiple types of energy to create this shield, and it took me a while. The shield, now, when you create a shield, it needs energy. It needs energy to sustain it. And I used my energy. I used energy from Mother Earth. I used my energy from the sun and from the moon. Okay.
Okay.
That, and so uh, when it comes to Mother Earth, after I infuse energy into my shields, I would connect with her and ask her to and ask her to power my shield. I would connect with the sun. I would connect with the moon and ask them to power my shield with their light, with the sun's light, with the moonlight. And when I connect with Mother Earth, I can actually in my mind see roots coming up from the earth and grabbing the bottom of my shield and powering it. Upkeep. When you create a shield, you have to upkeep it. You can't
Okay.
just make it and leave it. You have to maintain a power source, and then you have to upkeep it. So once a week, I would go into each room and infuse my energy into that room. One day, one day, when I was in my bedroom and I was walking out, I heard a noise, and it was a voice, and I turned around and I was like, "Who's that?" I couldn't see anybody, but it spoke again, but it didn't come from a particular direction. I heard it here, and the voice, it said to me, "Master." It called me Master. "Master, I am your shield." And I was blown away. I was shocked. I was amazed, and I created a dialogue with it, and I was just blown away. I said, "Oh my God, I put so much effort and energy into this shield that it's now become conscious. And the shield actually became not only a friend to me, but an assistant. This shield protected me and kept everything out that I did not want in my personal space.
So can I just sort of jump in here just for a minute? So are you saying that the shield now has a certain consciousness? Because if it's talking to you and it's a
Mhm.
shield, so that means that it's sentient in a certain way. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes,
Oh,
the shield,
okay.
the shield became conscious. I put so much effort and energy and prayers into that shield that it it developed its own
Okay,
consciousness.
conscious
And
shield. That makes yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
and as a matter of fact, I ended up learning later that it was a piece of me. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And yes. And so I would use the shield to help me regulate traffic coming and going from my apartment.
Okay.
The cool thing about the shield was that I would be away at work
Mm-hmm.
and I could check in with my shield. I would be like, "Hey, shield, what's going on? What's going on at home?" You
So
know. I
so
would,
okay, whoa. So the shield is at home hanging out, and then
the shield is constantly surrounding my home. Okay,
okay. So it's
constantly
around
surrounding
your
my
home. It's
home.
not like
Yes.
it's not like a bubble floating around your apartment or something. No.
Nope. It's a
Okay.
huge shield. It's constantly surrounding my home, and then a piece of it surrounds my body as well.
Okay.
So I'm constantly connected to that shield. And I'll be at work miles away and I'll check in with my shield. I'll be like, hey, shield, what's going on at home? And my shield will give me an update. Oh, this is happening. This is what's going on. I'm like, well, how's Bobby, my boyfriend? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Bobby's fine. He's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I'll be like, well, are there any ETs outside
Mm-hmm.
waiting for me? And my ship will tell me, well, you have this being and that being outside waiting to
Mm-hmm.
communicate with you, waiting to meet with you. And I'm like, well, okay, we'll keep them there.
Okay.
And then, so my shield would follow my instructions, give me intel. If I had visitors coming, if I had interdimensional visitors coming and but they were stuck outside, they couldn't come in my home, my shield would alert me. First I would feel them outside. I would feel the energetic pressures outside. Second, I would ask my shield to connect with them and give me some intel. I would say, shield, who are they and what do they want? And my shield would come back and say, Sue, they are this, and this. They're from a particular star system, and
Mm-hmm.
they're here for this, and this.
I have an interesting question actually that we just got from the chat here, and it's from Holly Freeberg 1067. Thank you, Holly. And the question is, does that make the shield a tulpa? Do we know what we're talking about here?
That
Yeah.
that is a very good question.
Okay.
That is a very good question, and that may be so.
Okay.
That I invested so much energy and so much effort
Mm-hmm.
into this assistant
Mm-hmm.
and into this shield that it became my assistant, and it became a conscious, energetic force.
Now, for people who are not familiar with the term tulpa, how would you describe it for our viewers this evening? Tulpa.
A tulpa is an entity that you create, that you end up creating with your own intention
Okay.
to assist you with things. And you have invested energy into that tulpa. It has its own energy, it has its own consciousness.
Okay. Okay, that's very interesting. We should come back on that topic, but I'll let you continue with your slide.
Okay. Now uh, here's the the kicker to my shield. On this slide, visit from three archangels. After I erected my shield and it became conscious, one evening when I was in my guest bedroom and I was touching up my shield, all of a sudden, boom, I feel this, I sense and feel this immense, incredible energy in my guest bedroom. Oops, I think my hand is up.
Hmm?
Um, why is my hand up?
Hmm. I don't know.
Let me stop the share and
Yeah.
then let me lower my hand. I'm not even sure how.
It's your
Okay.
tulpa. There you go.
So, so so
Yeah.
there's this huge presence in my guest room, and with my physical eyes, I can't see anything, but I can feel it. but in my mind's eye, if I close my eyes, all I see is massive light,
Okay.
just light, and it's three huge sources of light, and I'm looking up at these three huge sources of light, and and the middle source of energy spoke, and it introduced itself as Metatron.
Okay.
It introduced itself as Metatron, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then the presence, that the huge light to the right of Metatron introduced itself as Michael, and the one to the left introduced itself as Raphael. So once they introduced themselves, I knew then that I'm getting a visit from three archangels. Metatron spoke the rest of the time after they introduced themselves.
Mm-hmm.
He said to me that they had been observing me for a while, and they're aware of this massive shield I had created to protect myself. He said the shield is effective, but its enormous energy is attracting unwanted attention. Okay. And they offered to help. They offered to bless my shield with angelic energies, stating that it would strengthen the shield as well as cloak the shield's energies.
Okay.
That way, it stops attracting unwanted attention. I agreed, and once I agreed, I felt loving light flowing down onto my home and onto me. I could see this light just flowing down, and
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing. Then, in my mind's eye, above me, in this room, in my guest room, I saw a female warrior angel appear, holding a sword in her right hand and a shield in her left hand. She floated backwards and melted right into my shield. I mean, right into my wall. She just melted right into my wall, and she became part of my shield. And I graciously thanked them. And they there added added the last ingredient to my shield, and that was
Mm-hmm.
angelic energies.
So you know what's happening now, and I'm sure some people who are going to be watching this are going to say, "But how can I do that? How can that happen for me? What do I need to do?" No, no, no. This is incredible because I think there are a lot of people that do speak to Archangel Michael. I know I do, definitely this girl, and I started working also with Archangel Metatron. Raphael, not as much, but definitely Metatron and Michael. He's my guy, and I think I feel him. I mean, I know that with Michael, I feel that he can answer me right away. Like if I ask him for something in the morning and I pray to him, I know that I'll get what I need. So that's cool. But for people are probably asking, well, how come you're getting this light show? What do I need to do to get this kind of light show with angels and swords and shields and all that? What do I need to do? You know?
Everyone has their own path,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's on your path, then it will happen.
Okay.
You can also ask.
Oh, okay.
You can definitely also ask. And if it's meant to happen, if it's meant to be on your path, then it will occur.
Okay.
Okay? And this isn't about, oh, well, how come it's happening with you? How come it's not happening with me? It's never about that. Okay? It's never about that at all. If
Okay.
you feel that you want these experiences, then just ask.
Okay.
Just
Fair
ask.
enough. Okay.
Next is, I'm just going to go through this slide very quickly because there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Reptilian visitors. Okay. With my conscious shield, I was able to meet with various reptilian visitors from different worlds. These visitors each introduced themselves as envoys from their specific planets. They each addressed me with the highest respect, indicating it was an honor to meet me. They referred to me as my lord or your lordship.
Mm-hmm.
All of them had the same request. They came for my light. They all would come. They all would ask me for my light. They are, and the main reason is that they are fourth dimensional beings. Ooh, I've got energy flowing through my legs right now.
Oh, really?
They,
Are they
yes,
watching? Like when you're doing a presentation like this, are they actually watching? Like with a bit of popcorn off to the corner somewhere and just taking it all in? What's happening right now? Especially if your legs are tingling.
when I'm feeling energy, that means that there are beings listening and watching. Okay.
Oh, okay. Fair
And
enough.
many of these reptilian species that came to visit me, they're fourth dimensional beings. And they are worried that when the great change occurs, see, the reptilians, they do not call the great solar flash and ascension. Okay, they call it the great change.
Okay.
Okay, and they were all worried that when the great change occurs, which is the great solar flash, that they didn't know what would happen to them. And so they believe that if they were to come and to get a piece, to get some of my light and disseminate it amongst their people, once the solar flash happens, that would allow them to shift up and evolve along with everyone.
So can I just sort of like jump in here again?
Mhm.
When you say this, okay, so the great change, and I know you're talking about this here. So you're saying there's a fourth dimensional beings, not sure what will happen with them when they have the great change. Now, when is this great change supposed to occur? And you said it involves the flash of light or flash of sun. Like, is this like is this the big flash that we're all sort of talking about? Can you just expand on that a bit?
Yes, it has already been foretold for a very long time
Mm-hmm.
that eventually the sun's energy will begin to ignite. And if it's not one big flash, then it's a series of flashes
Mm-hmm.
that will help push us over to the point where we then will move into a higher existence. Now, there is no specific date.
Okay.
It's all based on our energy.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm a shaman and I connect with nature. I connect with the sun, the moon, and the
Mm-hmm.
sun communicated with me one day, and the sun told me that it is actually waiting for
Okay.
us humans. Once our development gets to a particular point, then the sun knows that it's time. It's time to release that energy.
Okay.
Ascension, yeah, yeah.
Because
Mhm.
I know that some people, we have one person that has been on the show as a guest, and Miss Susan Johnson, and she talks a lot about the pulse and about how the pulse will be like a big flash from the sun that will maybe vaporize certain people that are of lower, like, and when I say vaporize, not so much from a negative perspective, but rather people who are no longer of an energetic match. So people that are like entities or people that are parasites, the pulse will vaporize the lower entities. Did you want to comment on that?
The way I'll describe it
Okay.
is that it's like the great separation.
The great separation. Okay.
Yeah. Those 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 whose souls have chosen
Mm-hmm.
to move up into a higher existence, they will move into that new reality. The souls that that have chosen the souls that believe that they still need more incarnations in a lower density because their soul has not learned enough or has not graduated to a particular point yet and they need more incarnations in lower densities, then they will move into a new reality somewhere else.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but that may entail them reincarnating somewhere else for their soul to continue more third dimensional existences. But for those of us who are ready to move up, we will move up. Okay. And ascension is not an outer event that will occur one day. Ascension is an inner event. It starts now with us, each and every single one of us. Us healing, us working on our vibration every single day, that is ascension. Ascension isn't the great solar flash that that moves everybody into this particular field. No, it starts now. It ascension has been started. It is an inner event that eventually becomes an outer event. Okay.
Okay.
And now when it comes to these particular reptilians, that they believe that they need my light in order for them to ascend. Now, these reptilians, they communicate telepathically, and they'll tell me their names, their planets, the systems that they're from in the reptilian language. I ended up having to tell them to, whoa, back up. I need you guys to telepathically communicate with me in English The main reason for this is when they're communicating to me in the reptilian languages, it's too distracting for me because, as a matter of fact, I found myself overwhelmed. It's the words, the sounds, and the vibrations started triggering euphoric states within me. Okay, especially like the S sound, the S vibrations, it would trigger euphoric sensations or states to where my eyes start rolling into the back of my head. It was
Really?
when I was interfaced with them and communicating telepathically with them in reptilian, it was as if I was hearing this beautiful song that I haven't heard for eons.
And
And I'm
would you
and
be able to, for example, replicate this sort of song or this sort of thing that you were doing with the reptilians?
no, and I
Oh.
it's no, and I'm sorry. I raised my hand, and then the Zoom decided that I was raising my hand, so I shut it
It's
off.
Mercury retrograde, I'll remind everybody. So there's going to be a lot of technical issues here and there. So I'm just sort of taking it in stride. So don't worry, Sua. It's all Mercury. It's all happening.
So re- the reptilian language is difficult for humans to speak. Now, there are some humans on the planet that can easily speak a reptilian tongue, but the majority of us probably not. And I wouldn't even try it unless I knew exactly what I was doing, because first, you do not want to mispronounce a reptilian's name.
Oh.
That's considered, that's not a good thing.
Mm.
So don't even try it. That's why when we engage with certain types of beings, we come up with a name. We come up with an agreed upon name. Okay, this will be your name. Okay. Because the frequency of their name, if you do not get it correctly,
Yeah.
it they may take offense to it. Also, during this time that these reptilian visitors were visiting me, this was a time where I was also getting these massive downloads from different star races. And so that would prevent me from sleep. I was only getting 1 to 2 hours max of sleep at night. And because of that exhaustion, I did not have enough energy to fully interface with them. Because if I did, I would fully interface with them and also match their frequency. Now, matching their frequency means that once I'm able to match their frequency, then I can easily see them with my eyes. I could see with my physical eyes, I can see everything. I can see the wrinkles on them. I could see all the different colors on them. I could see their outfits. I could see everything in detail. Because I was so exhausted, I did not have the energy or chose not to use the energy to gravitate towards their frequency, to match their frequency. So I just settled for the visual impressions from my third eye.
Can I just, sorry, I keep asking questions, but I just
Sure.
wanted to know, you're talking here about exhaustion and getting downloads. Would you say that getting downloads is in a way connected to being exhausted? Because I know that a lot of people now are saying, you know, how come I'm so tired and I'm so exhausted? I'm like, oh, is that a sign of something? I mean, apart from maybe you're not getting enough sleep, but when you're getting a downloads in this particular situation, is the exhaustion a hallmark of the fact that you're getting a heavy download?
Yes, the downloads that I were getting, they were like 6, 7, 8 hours a night.
Okay.
Most people get these quick downloads and that's it. But I was getting downloads to where once I put my head on my pillow, it would start, and it was so massive that my whole entire body would start shaking, and it would not let up until like the early morning. That's how incredible it was, and that's how strong it was, and when these downloads occur, you cannot sleep.
Okay.
You cannot sleep. They're so fierce that you cannot sleep at all.
Wow. Okay. Because I know that when people are getting a lot of energies, especially from the sun, like we're talking about a lot of the Schumann resonance and a lot of the solar flashes that are happening right now, the sun is really, really, truly active right now. It makes it hard for people to sleep. Is that also same along the same sort of line of like all that energy coming all at once?
Yes, right now there's a lot of cosmic
Mm-hmm.
energies. Right now there's energy from the sun.
Yeah.
Right now some of the ETs are sending us energies.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's also downloads that specific star families or ETs are sending us individually as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combination.
Okay.
It is a combination. And so that's why a lot of people, a lot of starseeds, a lot of light workers, a lot of healers are having a hard time sleeping because when these energies enter into our system,
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult for us to sleep. We cannot reach a delta wave sleep
Okay,
state.
that really, I'm really glad that you talked about that. I really have to say, because I can only speak for myself, but it used to be that I used to be able to just put my head to the pillow and I'd be like, I'd be out like a light. And I just find that in the last little while, especially since I've been doing this work with this channel, I just haven't been sleeping. It's just so hard to get the really nights, full night's rest and all that. And I just be up, up, up. And I couldn't understand it. And I'm so glad you said this, because then I just don't feel like we know what's wrong with me. How come I'm not sleeping? But yet I'm able to sort of get to work, but I feel exhausted too. Who knows? You know?
Yeah, the energy is way too intense,
Mm-hmm.
especially because the energies
Okay.
are affecting us at a DNA level.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is affecting us at a DNA level.
Got it. Got
And
it.
with all that energy flowing through us, it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult for us. We might be able to get maybe like a light state of sleep,
Yeah, like, yeah, very like a
but
nap
yeah,
on it
right.
almost. Yeah.
But we will not be able to reach like a deep delta wave state for hours.
Yeah.
It's just
No.
impossible.
Okay. That makes sense.
Now, for this slide right here, just gonna breeze through real quick. These are reptilian envoys that came to visit me in 2020. I'm not, because we have a lot of material, I'm not gonna go into each and every single visitation in detail, but I just wanted to show that there were some that visited me in 2020 and also in 2021. Okay, and a few of these I will go into detail with them later in the podcast. So I'm just gonna swing through this slide as well. And the reason why I have those crystals there is because the way I shared my light the with the ETs is that I would infuse my energy into a particular crystal, and then they would upload my frequency, my essence from that crystal into their being. And when these ETs would upload my frequency into their being, I could see and feel them getting into a blissful state as they were uploading my frequency. This next slide, I'm going to go through it real quickly. This is Dogon. Dogon was a saltwater crocodile envoy from an aquatic planet. I originally met Dogon when I was at Milwaukee Floats. This is a business where they had saltwater pods and pools for you to float in, and it was very therapeutic. And this particular day, I went there and I jumped into one of their saltwater pools, and I was alone. I was alone, and I shut off all the lights, and they were playing soft music. It made me feel like I was floating in space. And I'm in this dark, pitch black room floating in salt water, in warm salt water. And then all of a sudden, boom, this huge energy on my right side is just vibrating through my entire system. And I was like, whoa, what is this? I was like, there is a being in this pool with me. I was like, what the what? I'm like, what is going on? And then I'm like, oh my God, this energy is like, this is reptilian energy. And I'm like, I started to panic. I was like, oh my God. And my guides were like, calm down, Sua. Yes, it is a reptilian, but he's not going to harm you. Actually, he needs help. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even get no rest. And then he swims up right next to me. Like literally, I'm floating in water. He swims right up next to me. And I noticed that he is enjoying the salt water. He's totally enjoying, he's just swimming around, totally enjoying the salt water. And I went home and he followed me home. My guides were telling me that he came to visit me, but he could not get in because of my shield. And so he followed me home and I let him in. I told my shield to let him in. he came in and it's like he lost a lot of his memories. He could not remember. He could not remember um, many details. And as a matter of fact, he couldn't even remember his name. And so I asked my guides, "What's going on?" And they told me that, and I have I have reptilian. Some of my guides are reptilian spirit guides. Okay, draconian, and one of them is a full-blooded draconian, and then there's three that are half Draco and another humanoid species, so they're hybrids. Anyways, so they told me that that his they told me that he crashed here. He came to visit me, but he crashed. His ship is nearby. Due to the crash, he got injured, lost a lot of energy, and he shrunk in size, lost a lot of his memory. So what I did was I ended up using Reiki energy to heal him. And as I was healing him with Reiki energy, I noticed that his size was growing. I'm like, whoa, he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as he grew, more and more of his memories came back. And then once I was done, he remembered his name. He said he was Dogon. He is an envoy from an aquatic planet here on a mission to obtain my light. I gave him some of my light, and I did tell him that when you go back to your ship, the rest of your memories will come back. He did make it back to his ship, and he did leave, and he did make it back to his home world safely.
Okay.
Now this next one is 2 days later. I get a visit from another saltwater crocodile from the same planet. And but this one actually jumped on top of me. I was in bed. I was laying in bed and he jumped on top of me and he forcibly tried to take my energy. And I threw him off of me real quick and he ran out the bedroom and into the living room, and I told all of my guys corner him. They had him cornered. They cornered him by the front door. He was trying to leave, but I wouldn't let him leave. I was going to destroy him. But one of my draconian spirit guides said, she said, "Sue, don't do that. Let him leave." And so I did tell him, "I'll let you leave, but you can never come back." And so he agreed, and I let him out, and he has not been back. But he ended up, once Dogon got back to his planet and they disseminated my light, this dark saltwater crocodile decided that, you know what, I'm going to go to Earth and I'm going to take it directly from him. But that was a bad plan because I was much stronger energetically than him, and I easily overpowered him. Next is I'm going to give you an example of one of the feathered reptilian species that came to visit me. This reptilian species, they had feathers. They were bird-like. There were actually two bird-like species that came to visit me. This was one of them, and this particular species, they're smaller in frame, lighter, very beautiful, um, various colors. And when I connected with him, I learned that his planet was actually ravaged and drained of resources by the Draco. And so I felt it was only right for me to help him and his species by giving him some of my light. Oh, and just a little background info. The reason why many of these reptilian species come to me is because in the previous incarnation, I was a draconian prince. I was of the royal bloodline, one of the royal bloodlines in the Draconian Empire. This particular incident, I received three I received a visit from three Draco reptilians that were infected with dark AI. This was March 28th of 2021. And I'm so glad that I took notes. This particular morning, I kept hearing the vibration of a ship. My guide said three Draco reptilians were waiting for me outside, and two were back in the ship. They needed my assistance to clear the dark AI from their field. They were renegade Draco, meaning that they broke off from the main Draco Empire. They were renegades, and they got infected with the dark AI. They were engaged by the Pleiadians, and the Pleiadians offered to help um, clear the dark AI from their bodies, but they refused. They're Draco, so they didn't trust the Pleiadians. So when that happened, my draconian spirit guide intervened and told them to come to me for assistance. They
Sorry,
when
Sua,
they
can I just ask a quick question? Sorry.
Sure.
I have a quick question here from Kelly, who says, "How did you overpower that particular being?" Though I think it's in the slide before.
Oh,
And yeah,
the huge saltwater crocodile.
yeah.
It was instinct. I was laying in bed and he jumped on top of me,
Mm-hmm.
and he and he began to suck energy from me, and I was
Okay.
like, oh hell no, boom, because I okay. So after numerous visits from
Mm-hmm.
the gray aliens
Okay.
that would put me into a paralysis state.
Oh yeah.
Remember,
Yeah,
I
you
had
learned how to.
developed
Yeah.
I had developed the ability to break free of the paralysis.
Okay.
Okay. And because of that, I had developed certain other energetic abilities.
Okay.
And so as he began to suck energy from me, I was like, oh no, you're not gonna do that
Mm-hmm.
today. Boom, I knocked him off of me. And he ran out the bedroom and into the living room.
Mm.
And so it's energy.
Okay.
Okay.
And
It's
I find
energy.
it kind of interesting also that the name of that other reptile was Dogon. And for those of you, the Dogon are a group of people in Mali, Africa, who talk about different about the Nomo that come from Sirius A and Sirius B, and that this is where their ancestors are from, and in particular Sirius B, I think, which is linked to the ancient Egyptians. Just putting it out there. I don't know if we're talking
Yeah,
about
oh
the
yeah.
same group of beings, but maybe we can continue and maybe go on that later.
There may be a connection, but that's the name that he gave me.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. These three draconian, these three Draco reptilians were infected with dark AI.
I hope this is
When
not the AI that's coming out here in this planet, because a lot of people are saying that AI is going to really change the planet and that it's not it's we're in trouble. I hope this is not what we're talking about, right?
uh, you have to please excuse me. Every time I do a gesture,
Mm-hmm.
that the Zoom,
Sorry, I
the
keep
Zoom.
asking a lot of questions. I'm so sorry. I'm slowing down your
Oh no, no. So this dark AI is the AI that infects the Draco.
Okay.
Okay, this is what helps them give them that hive mind thing going on. And this is, you know, if you are a Star Trek, if you are a Star Trek fan, you know what the Borg is. You
Exactly.
know you know what the Borg is,
Yeah.
and pretty much these things that we see on TV, these things that we see in Hollywood, it just isn't someone's great imagination. Okay, there's a reason.
That's why I'm
Okay.
afraid is because I see
Mhm.
that what's happening is that a lot of people who are working in the AI industry this past week, a lot of them, last week and past week, a lot of them have actually resigned and saying that the AI that's coming, they're afraid for humanity. Literally, that's what they're saying. And that, this kind of AI could infect people. So I'm
Yes.
not, I don't know, I'm feeling very, very uncomfortable right now. I don't know.
This
That's why I'm asking, is this the same kind of AI that we're looking at here?
Yes, this is going to be the next thing that we deal with. Once we deal with Earth, once the human population decides, hey, let's all get along and let's all work together to build a new golden age, this is going to be our next this is going to be our
Our next
next
challenge?
challenge. Yes.
Okay.
That in in the universe there is dark AI, and the Draco Empire has is is infested with this AI. Okay, and as a matter of fact, I had watched some of the and listened to some of the super soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
and they even indicate this that they've had contact with draconians that were infected, and they've even seen humans that were infected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so and the one thing that is the most disturbing is that when you are infected with this AI, once it takes you over completely,
Mm-hmm.
then your free will is gone.
But that's what
Because
I'd heard. And that's why I'm flipping out. Because actually, somebody made a comment here, Holly Freeberg. She says, it's like the black oil on X Files. Remember in the X Files?
Mhm.
They had that black oil goo, whatever it is, and then if it got in contact with you, then it could sort of take over, and your eyes are black and all that kind of stuff. But it's not the first time I'm hearing about it. And the fact that you can talk about a show like X Files and say, okay, all this stuff you want, but when I see actual people that are working in the industry leaving and saying that they're leaving because they're afraid of how AI will affect us, this does not help me to sleep at night, right? And the only thing that I can say that might be a saving grace is that a lot of people already are starting to get fed up with the AI and say, oh, I'm tired of it. I keep seeing the AI slop and no. But somebody made an interesting comment. I think it was last year. There was the Superman movie that came out. And in the Superman movie, people were being affected by the AI. Like it was sort of like a graphite type of AI thing that was, affecting people and changing their personality. And you're right. Sometimes you look at these movies and like they're actually predicting. They're telling you what they're going to do. A lot of the movies out there, they're predictive and they're telling you what they're trying to do. And I don't know how, as humans, if we're going to stand a chance against this dark AI. If the dark AI are going after the reptilians, what kind of chance do we have? You know?
they're actually partnered with the reptilians. The reptilians are happy. These this aspects of
So
the
they
Draco
want
Empire.
this?
Yes, aspects of the Draco Empire. They want to aspects of it. They believe that with this intelligence in them, it helps them perform better.
Mm-hmm.
It helps them communicate faster. It helps them do everything quicker. And they will sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
their individuality for this.
Okay. I have an interesting comment here, a couple of comments here in the chat. I have Susan Johnson. She says, that's not true. There are positive Dracos. Vargas, for example, some of are working with us. And so I think what she's referring to is that she's working with a different group of people. Susan was on the show, I think, last week, talking about the different groups that are here working with Earth and trying to get rid of a lot of the ET scourge that are here. And so I know that Susan. I'm not sure if you were here at the beginning of the show, but I know that Suha talked about how there are different groups that are benevolent. So there's that. But I just feel that this is a very, very scary thing. I have here Quantum Ascension Wellness saying here, I have a friend who is literally on top of the government with AI, and they have said it's going to get very dark. Hello, Suha, great job. Okay, so, but it's, and that's what I'm hearing. I'm starting to hear some really dark stories about how this AI can affect humans. And I'm hoping that Susan Johnson and her group and other benevolent groups are going to be here to help us. Would you like to comment on that, Suha?
Sure. First of all, it has to do with this administration.
Okay.
This current administration refuses to put safeguards in. Okay. There are groups that want safeguards put in to prevent AI from getting out of hand, but this administration is siding with the tech leaders, and many of them do not want safeguards. And I'm hoping that eventually safeguards are put in to help prevent us going in a wrong direction. And I
Yeah.
also wanted to comment on what Susan was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not all Draco are negative.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have encountered uh, I actually encountered Draco that have broken away
Mm-hmm.
from the main empire,
Okay.
and they are actually fighting the Draco.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so I I they there's a particular council, and they actually reached out to me, and on that council was a Draco general, and um, they are currently resisting the main empire. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so there are groups of Draco
Yeah.
that that have turned that do not believe in the agenda of domination and control and consumption.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's
Yeah. But I mean, you're
so
right. I've heard a lot of people, but also when you look at this administration that's going on in the United States, I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're right. I don't think they're putting in the safeguards because there are people that are controlling this administration, and I don't mean people here. I mean people up there who are controlling this administration and don't want the safeguards put in because they want to come in and hurt the human race. And so we're really at a war right now. I mean, forget Iran. Like we're really this is a war for our souls. And I just feel people really need to really be on top of their game and really need to stay safe and stay alert because we're going to be in for some really rough times. You know.
right now the best thing for us to do is to focus on the current moment and to focus on us and our vibration.
Okay.
Right now, our only job is to work on our vibration. We're not here to fight ETs. We're not here to go to battle, go to war. Now, some people are, but they're leaving their body and they're going on missions, and that's because they are affiliated with this or that group.
Yeah.
But the majority,
But the
but the
Susan
majority,
Johnson does the same thing. She goes every night out of her body. She talked about that last week and helps to fight these wars that are going on. Yeah.
right? And but most, and then some, their purpose is to heal. Okay, now for the majority of us, we're here to just really work on our vibrations. Okay, now I was able to clear the using my shield as I let them in. I was able to clear the infection out of their fields when they came in. I was able to use my light to help. Um, I used my light to help not only clear the infection, but to heal them as well. And that was when I learned that light, light is light and frequency is the cure. Our light is the cure for this dark AI. I was able to help cleanse and cure the AI, the dark AI from these reptilians. They left, they went back to the ship. They used my frequency to help heal the other two, and they all left. But I learned that particular day that there is this dark AI out in the universe, and this is going to be our next challenge. And as a matter of fact, and this relates to our evolution.
Mm-hmm.
This relates to our evolution. The ETs, they have their own defense against this.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is light, and their defense is light that comes from source.
Okay.
Source energy pulsates through everything, especially living beings.
Mm-hmm.
But the ETs are using light, that are using light that contains source consciousness to help battle this dark AI. Now, in the future, it is us we will be the cure. Once we evolve to a particular point, our luminous state is
Mm-hmm.
what is going to be the cure for this dark AI.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to bring our energy down because the different dark forces don't want to see us get ahead. And it's funny because a lot of people are saying, "What's so special about this planet?" And I feel that you've just given us a key as to what that is. Because if we're going to be the cure, then that's probably the reason why a lot of people are sort of like hovering around this planet, and we're sort of like
We are
you
the
know,
peace treaty. We are the peace treaty
mm-hmm.
of we are the peace treaty
Yeah,
because if any if some people who are listening to this show may have heard of the Orion Wars.
Okay. Yeah.
These great
Yeah.
galactic wars.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna tell it from my perspective after having incarnated in multiple in all sides of this conflict, is that we are the peace treaty.
Yeah.
Okay, we have reptilian DNA, we have Lyran, we have Andromeda, we have all of the major players in the Orion War is inside us.
Ah.
We are the peace treaty, and we have a choice of either we have some of the lowest vibrating DNA and some of the highest vibrating DNA, and we're going to have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Is it going to be unity, or is it going to be separation? And
But that's why they're trying to separate us now. That's the whole point.
Right.
They're trying to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If we are able to choose unity and move towards our evolution, our evolved state is going to be that luminous state that helps not just us but the entire universe, because because we have so many strands of DNA in us that when they all activate and when they activate and our DNA begins to restructure itself into this amazing crystalline luminous state, we will be that cure.
Okay.
We are the peace treaty. And I'm going to go on to the next slide. I did receive a visit. Earlier, I talked about the Orion Council. These are benevolent reptilians. They asked me to join their alliance. I said no. I'm way too busy and exhausted. I did share some of my light with them.
No thanks.
I was trying to limit the number of ETs visiting me. Okay, and at that and the most amazing thing about these two members was their energy. All the other reptilians that came had sharp, piercing energy, but I compared their energy to the archangels. Just loving, light, high vibe, just so soft and peaceful energy. And next slide is I did receive a visit from two dragons from the Cygnus constellation. They came to visit me because they wanted to make a connection with someone on the planet. They want to help Earth through its ascension. So there's a lot of ETs out there that want, and a lot of beings out there that want to help Earth through its ascension. They identify themselves as being from the Guild of Dragons, a benevolent civilization. They asked me to join their council. I agreed. We exchanged energy. Okay. And they referred to me as a phoenix dragon. Okay. It's a long story. That's another
That's another presentation for another day.
That's another presentation. And so I agreed to be a member of the council. We exchanged energies. I wished them well. I was very exhausted. I almost fell asleep when I was talking to them. That's why I didn't remember their names after they left. One was blue and one was green. Now this is my last slide, and then after this we'll take questions. But
sure.
This slide is called "Marked by ETs," my birthmark. Oh, let me go back. Now, on my right thigh, this is my birthmark. This triangular pattern. Okay, I measured this birthmark. It's 1.2 inches exactly on each side. It's a perfect triangle. On my left thigh, there's one birthmark right there. And here's the crazy thing. Early in life, I did not see this, and I did not see this, and I did not see this. There was only one mark on my right thigh. And then down the line, I saw on my right thigh a second mark. And I thought it was pretty weird, but I just kept going. And then in August of 2024, one day I woke up and I noticed that there was a third mark. And that third mark made a perfect triangle. And I instinctively knew that the ETs marked me. And I just knew. And so I ended up doing a 3-hour meditation one day on the 24th of August. And in that meditation, an Atlantean high priestess came through. And she told me the 3 marks on my right thigh represent 3 of the star families and the systems that I belong to. Antarians from Antares, Pleiadians from the Pleiades system, and the Andromedans from Andromeda. The singular birthmark in the middle of my left thigh represents Lyra, the Lyrans. I ended up finding out last year through through the Lyrans reaching out to me that I had a past life in Lyra, and I was a member of one of their royal houses. And so birthmarks are usually random. They do not appear in geometric shapes like this. And I knew that I was marked by the ETs. And as a matter of fact, they even agreed. Now, I did consult with one of my friends, Diana, who I mentioned earlier. She's very psychic. She told me that, Soua, you're eventually going to have a 4th mark on your right thigh. And I know
Wow.
exactly why. I know exactly why.
Okay.
The Syrians, because late last year, the Syrians started reaching out to me and started telling me that I also have a genetic connection to Sirius. So once I start diving into my connection with Sirius, and as a matter of fact, one of them reached out to me like last month and said, Soua, we're going to start your training, but not yet. You have to do a lot of healing first before we start your training. And so in the future, I know that there's going to be a 4th mark on my right thigh, and it'll be in a geometric pattern as well when it appears, all of it. And actually, I have a friend that belongs to a different group. Her name is Sandy. She has a triangular pattern like this right next to her eye.
Oh.
And yeah, and me and her talked one day, and she said, and she's a hybrid, and she told me one day that the 3 dots represent her star families as well. She told me that the ETs told her that one of them is Andromeda and the other 2 are from different star families. And one of them is actually celestial angels. Now, this is the end of my presentation. So if anyone has any questions, we can
Sure.
move into the discussion piece of our
Absolutely.
podcast. And if anyone wants to reach me, they can reach me at stuartxiong123@gmail.com.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for that. And I apologize for constantly jumping in there, but there was just so much going on, and I love when you're talking. I do have someone actually again, Susan, who talks about having red dots on her left side. Do you by any chance know what the red dots or people who have red dots on their left side is? What that's about? If you know.
I do not. I haven't experienced or spoken with anyone with red dots, but the person who has it, Susan, if you do a meditation and you connect with your higher self and you connect with the beings and the guides that are associated with you, then it will be revealed to you.
Wow. Okay. And I know that I was, and I apologize in advance for flipping out there. It's just that I know that we are really at a turning point right now. And I love what you were saying tonight because I find that you've really sort of put the puzzle pieces together. And in particular, you're saying that there are many different groups that are here, and we all hear about that. We often hear about how there's so many different groups sort of floating, and the earth is surrounded by so many different ships and so many different races, and it was never clear before. And now I feel that, and then also you were talking about how we are really at the threshold of this whole AI thing, and it means that we have to be careful, like you said, about where we go. And I know that when we talk about someone like Bashar is saying the same thing. He says we're hoping that we're here to show you not to go down the wrong path, or else you lose your humanity. And that's also stuff that a lot of people are saying with AI is that we could have we might be one of the last generation of real humans if we're not careful. And so I do see how important it is to remain human. So when you're talking about raise your vibration, I guess it's mostly through connecting with source, or would you say there are other types of things like meditation? What would you recommend in terms of like a practice for raising one's vibration and connecting?
Those are methods that can help you raise your vibration, but the easiest and the best way to work on your vibration is to be mindful
Okay.
of your thoughts, mindful of your behavior, to take the time out to live in the present moment, to begin to appreciate and love and have gratitude for everything that you have, because it is our own thoughts, it is our own emotions and our own behaviors that are either going to prevent us from moving up in vibration, or it's going to help us move into a path of a higher vibration. One of the most important things is to recognize our thought patterns and how we think. I constantly work and struggle on this every day. Some people think, "Oh, you're a starseed, so you should be an expert in it." Oh no, we are all human. We are all human, and we struggle with this. One is judgment. We must work on our judgment.
Okay.
I know this is not supposed to be a political podcast, but I do want
No,
to
I
use
know. Yeah, it has to come out.
this as an example. Like, for instance, in the past, Trump used to trigger me.
Yeah.
Trump used to
The
trigger me.
president of the United
And
States. We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
yes. And so I had to get myself to a point where one day I spoke out loud and I said, "Trump, I love you and I appreciate you and your presence and the role that you're playing. I know that even though there are a lot of negative things that are happening from your actions, I do know that deep down inside, from a soul perspective, that you are here for a purpose. And your purpose is to demolish everything so we can rebuild it."
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
and I thank you for that.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I thank you for that. And once I said that out loud 3 times, I felt like this
Just wait.
energy. It's like, yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
and 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 we must begin to pay attention to our biases, to our prejudices. We must begin to look and examine ourselves, go inward. We don't have to take these classes. We don't have to do all these meditations. We don't have to take plant medicine. Just pay attention to your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors.
Yeah.
By you just becoming a better person, by you just becoming a decent person who does not believe who does not believe in war, a person you just have to be a halfway decent person who believes, or let me rephrase it this way. You just have to be a halfway decent person that's continuously working to improve yourself. And also, you do not believe that certain groups of people are superior over other groups of people, because that is a sign of separation.
Exactly. No, exactly. And
And
like, absolutely. And to be, I mean, where do we begin? This whole thing, I'm gonna start off with what you're saying about the president of the United States. Now, when Soua and I were getting on before the podcast, we were talking about this, and a lot of people are angry and this and that and everything. And the way I see it is that, and we were talking about it, Soua and I, and we're saying that to basically talk what you're saying is that he's needed in order to bring down this system. And there's also a certain person who died mysteriously in jail who's related to the president, and he has these files pedophiles, and he is also there to bring down the system as well. One of the things that's very important about the time that we're in is that we have to break down the old system. And that wasn't going to be done just by, kumbaya. Like, it had to be really hardcore. It had to come down. Now then, I know that sometimes I can sort of like, jump off and get all negative and all that kind of stuff. But at the same token, I'm also seeing the positive in this, because a lot of people, like I was saying before, whereas 20 years ago, I don't think people were ready to really see what was going on. I think a lot of people are looking at what's going on and saying, this is propaganda. This is, they're trying to fool us. A lot of people are saying they're giving up social media because it makes them too dark. It makes, they feel that they're too disconnected. And one of the things that I've been seeing recently is a lot of people are saying, for example, they don't go on Facebook as much, or they're not on the social media as much, because they're craving human connection. We've lost the human connection, and it's the human connection, whether it be love or or any kind of human connection, where we connect and we create a light as well. You know what I mean? And I, as much as it seems dark on the one hand, I also sometimes have to sort of take a step back and say, yeah, but it's also light, because people are saying, I'm tired of the AI. I'm tired of looking at the Facebook. I'm tired of the social media. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. A TikTok and all that kinds of people. TikTok is losing members in droves. People are leaving TikTok. And a lot of people are blaming TikTok for some of their dark thoughts and all that kind of stuff. So people are starting to wake up and see that. So wouldn't you say, Suha, that the fact that people are waking up and noticing this, that this is sort of another tool in our kit to protect ourselves? How do you feel about that?
Yes, I believe that as time goes on, more and more people are going to wake up. And when we say wake up, it means that they realize the illusions around them. And I'm not saying, when I say illusion, I'm not saying that it's, the CGI or these lasers that are here. No, I'm talking about the illusion in plain sight, that what you believed wasn't even real. It was just made up. It was just put there to make you believe something.
Yeah.
The social structure, the financial institutions, all of that.
Yeah.
All of that is an illusion. An illusion
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be something that you physically see. It is the programming.
But people are waking from that, and that's the thing that gives me hope, is that a lot of people are saying, well, no, this is all garbage. The idea of separation. And one of the things that really, really touched my heart recently was that in the United States, you had this thing where you had these 12 monks, I think, that were walking from Texas all the way to Washington, a walk for peace. And when they first started, not many people were like, oh, okay, a couple of monks, there you go. And then towards the end, you had thousands of people that were walking behind these monks and following them and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people were saying, when you would see these videos, they were crying. And I said, I don't know why I'm crying, but clearly it's touched their heart chakra, their feeling, their love. When you cry like that out of happiness, it's because your heart chakra is opening, and there's just like this, and it's not pain in a negative sense, but it's just bringing emotion forward. And a lot of people were quoted saying, it doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. We just want peace. We just want peace right now. And the media would have you believe that every single American and they're all like these hardcore MAGA types. And there are some people who are MAGA types, but for the most part, a lot of people are saying, I just want peace. And I'm so glad that I came to see these monks, and that I flew in from wherever, I drove all night from wherever, because I wanted to see these monks, because it was important for me because of peace. And it was important for me to bring my children and my dog and all that kind of stuff. And you had different people from different, religious backgrounds who were coming to see these monks. So people are brought together. So I think when I see that for me tells me that there's still hope and that there's still light, because to see that, even if you're not there in person, to see it brings a light into your heart, which opens your heart chakra. Comments? Thoughts?
Oh, yes. You can tell by how many people were following the monks, even the people that are just watching
Yeah.
from the internet, how how many people are starving for peace?
Yeah.
And one of the things that the monks say is that the best way for us to create peace in our communities, in our country, is to create the peace within us first.
Exactly.
Once we are able to create peace within us,
Mm-hmm.
then then it will reflect out into our surroundings, our outside,
Mm-hmm.
from our inner self to our outer self.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot heal this planet unless we heal ourselves.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's what the monks were basically bringing out is a remembrance, is a reminder of who
Yes.
we are and to remind you of your humanity. Because I think, again, when the people were crying, it reminds them of their humanity that this is what they're really looking for. And they're not looking for the violence and the anger and all that kind of stuff and this whole idea. And again, people have to be careful, again, like you were saying, Sue, about the thoughts, about this whole thing about how people are angry. Because don't forget, the media is being controlled. And the media is being
Mhm.
manipulated specifically, and they're showing you shots of this and that, and a lot of it's not even true. And that is technically an illusion right there, of seeing people sometimes they'll see a scene where people are protesting and people are like, wait a minute, that happened 2 years ago. Why are you showing that now as if it's now? So it's like you have to be very discerning in that sense. If I had to ask Suha right now, some people are saying, which group stands out the most who are trying to help with this planet? Who would you say is the group that you know of that?
Do you mean the ETs?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, is all of the groups that are genetically tied to us,
Mm-hmm.
they are all helping us in their own way. Some directly, some indirectly. We cannot just give credit to those ETs that look just like us.
Mm-hmm.
There are ETs that do not look like us, but we have their genetics, and they're in space right now, above the planet.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they had to limit the number of ETs that could be around our planet to just those who have a genetic connection to us or who have a soul connection to us. Okay, meaning that we had existed on their planet at one time, or as a member of their species at one time. So that's why when I come across star seeds,
Mm-hmm.
and especially the star seeds that first begin to realize that they're a star seed, and they tell me their stories. The one thing that, and they're confused. They're not sure of this and that. And I tell them the two most important things about the ETs when it comes to you is your DNA and your soul. Okay, your DNA and your soul. Yes, that's how they follow you. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
your soul is the only soul that is specially key coded to inhabit your body and to animate your body.
Okay.
Okay, we won't even talk about possession, but your and your DNA isn't just the DNA from your immediate parents. They're encoded in your DNA is everything from the beginning. Remember, we are the universe. We are the universe expressing itself in an infinite number of ways in order to know itself. And the entire universe itself is the source. It is the source.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we live in a world of duality. But the one thing that we have to, as a people, transcend is duality. That is one other way how we get to increase our vibration and to really move up in our evolution is to overcome polarity by overcoming the way we think and the things that we believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you can get yourself into the neutral 0 point, That's why meditation is so important, because meditation helps you get to that 0 point
Okay.
where you're not leaning one way or the other. You're in that sacred now moment, and that is the actual moment, the actual space, the actual conscious moment where you can connect to the universe, where you can connect to the past, present, and future, where you can connect to your own Akashic records, where you can connect to other beings, to higher realms. It's in the now moment, in that 0 point. When you lose your judgments, your biases, your prejudices, and you just get into that sacred neutral moment, that spot, that is where you will find God. Once you discover how to get into the neutral state, yes, you might be leaning left, you might be leaning right, but when you get into a meditative state, you get to that point that none of that matters anymore. None of that matters anymore at all. As a matter of fact, I've had several out-of-body experiences, and when you leave your body, the whole perspective changes. When you're in an out-of-body state, you don't care about all this BS anymore in this physical state. All you want to do is just explore and have fun. And you realize in that state what's really important. It's not the material, because beyond this 3D world is a greater reality. And chase after experiences. Do not chase after money. Chase after experiences. Chase after the relationships that are important in your life. Because let me tell you, money is replaceable, but people are not.
Yeah.
Begin to do the inner work. Begin to get into that sacred neutral spot. And if you can do that on a consistent basis going forward, it's a struggle. It is definitely a struggle. But if you can maintain that sacred neutral spot, then that's going to really help you with your vibration. Because I'm going to tell you this, the ETs do not live in polarity. The ETs live in that sacred neutral spot. If you as a human tell ETs, oh, this is happening on this planet and it's like this and it's like that, when ETs phrase it, they don't phrase it like that. They phrase it in a way where it's neutral. It's like, oh, well, this is happening. This is happening, and it's like this. But they're not going to phrase something to where it's leaning one way or the other, because they understand and they value both sides.
Yeah. That. Again, I'm just sitting here and like, oh, I'm hanging on every word. Oh, it's so deep. It's unbelievable. I didn't know you could outdo your first presentation, and you really have. Thank you so much, Suha. This is incredible, and we've learned so much. And I apologize for having so many questions. It's just that there's so much. But it's true. And again, I repeat myself, but I really feel that people maybe people don't understand exactly how important meditation is in terms of 0 point and what you're talking about, which makes perfect sense, and I understand that. But I think that people are starting to, especially like again with the monks, people are starting to realize that, you know what, this whole thing with the money and the this and the that, it's not working. A lot of people are saying, I went after this job, I went after the money, I went after the hot babes or all this kind of stuff, and I didn't get anything out of it, and I'm not happy. I have the trappings and the accoutrement, but I don't have the happiness. And, they've done such a good job of trying to separate us, and especially with the young kids, where young kids are always on the social media and they have no friends. That's unheard of. But yet there are a lot of people who just literally, especially during COVID, said, I have no friends to count on. That I find sad. But I feel that also brought it to people's attention that they have to go after those human connections, and they have to go after, being close, because like you said, people are not replaceable, but money is. And I think that I think if you're looking at it from, speaking of the monks, from a Buddhist perspective, don't have attachment. When I say don't attach, don't just go off and abandon people, but I'm just saying don't have attachment. Even when you're watching the president of the United States on the TV, or you're watching what's happening here and there, I look at it and I say, okay, well, I'm looking at it and, I'll just sort of inform myself, but I don't have any attachments. I see the bigger picture. And I think that's what we need to do, is we need to sort of zoom out and see the bigger picture and see what this is going to be doing for us, destroying the old system and bringing up a new one. So for me, it looks good. I think it looks good because more and more people are watching shows like this and watching podcasts like this, and people are waking up slowly but surely. And the media won't tell you that, but there are a lot of people who are waking up.
Yes, yes. And the one thing that the monks are showing everyone is how to live, from the heart, and how to live from the soul's perspective. And let me tell you about the soul's perspective, okay? So we are humans. And as humans, all we want is just good experiences, happy experiences. We never want the bad experiences. We just want to live well, and every day is just going to be like a blast. Well, I'm just going to tell you this, that's not what the soul wants. The soul treasures all experiences. The soul is not here to just have wonderful experiences. The soul is also here to experience the not so wonderful experiences, but not love. The soul is also here to experience challenges, struggles. We may not value struggles, but the soul does, because that's how we grow and expand. That's how we gain wisdom. Wisdom isn't just from us reading a book. Wisdom is from us learning the information and then living it. That's how you gain wisdom, is through actually having the experience and learning through experiences. So that's why the soul treasures all experiences, even the ones that you do not like and you do not want to experience again. The soul treasures it all. The soul is here, incarnation after incarnation, gathering experiences one after the other. The experiences that we have, that is the treasure of our souls. Our souls don't find gold, a hot car, treasure. The treasure is the accumulation of experiences, because that's how a soul expands, whether good or bad. So we must begin to tell ourselves that when we are going through challenging situations, what does my soul want me to experience out of this event? What am I to learn? And move ourselves out of a victim mentality. Like, why is this happening to me? I can't believe this is happening to me again. Oh my God. And we put ourselves in the victim mentality. We have to move back, take a deep breath, and ask ourselves, what is it that I need to experience? What is it that I need to realize out of this experience? Because if it's on your blueprint, that means you are meant to experience it. You are meant to pick up something from this experience. Do not take these experiences as garbage experiences, because I'm telling you, these garbage experiences are the ones that catapulted our growth.
Absolutely. Wow. So I think we're coming to the
Yes.
our time limit. But I could be here all night. I honestly could. And I wanted to say, Suha, people really loved it. And a lot of people are saying part three. And I know that we would definitely love to have you come back again and speak with us. I really, really would love to have that. That'd be great. And again, can you just show us your email in case people want to sort of contact you by email again? So while he's looking for his email, I just want to remind you again, guys, to sign up for our newsletter. I will send you out that information again. Look, I think the moderator might have put also the link to the newsletter in the chat, so check that out. And if you're not already a member of the Star Seeds and Light Workers, please join our podcast here in Quantum Portals. Just subscribe and become a subscriber. It really helps our analytics and it really helps us to grow. We're growing and we're getting new members. And I just absolutely love the fact that we are reaching out and that we are coming together with different groups of people, and that this is going to help you to grow. So I'm really looking forward to people coming out and being with us. So I see we have Suha's email. So it's Stuart Xiong 123 at gmail.com. Stuart with an STU. And Stuart Xiong 123 at gmail.com. So hit him up with some questions or messages or any kind of comments you have, and I'm sure he'll get back to you. We are definitely going to be having Stuart back on the show again, and this time I will shut up and not ask as much as much questions, but it's just that there's just so much going on. And I keep saying, I think that we are in for a very, very interesting year this year, and I'd like to sort of see where we're going to be at the end of July. I think the June and July is going to be some very interesting times, and I look forward to seeing what it's going to be. I know that they're saying that the world's going to change, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, because I think that we really need a change for the better, and we have the power in our hands. We are very powerful beings, and kind of like what Stuart has pointed out is that we are beings of the universe. And we have the universe inside us. And so we have our own power, and we can exercise that power in discernment and in sovereignty. And so I invite you to do that. So again, thank you, Suha. Can we see you? Thank you, Suha, for being with us this evening. And I'm so happy that you came here tonight to share your wisdom with us once again. And I would love to, do you have any parting thoughts for us before we sign off?
Well, first, I want to thank you for holding this platform for everybody.
Thank you.
I also enjoy coming here and sharing. It's fantastic, and I love everyone here. And I am looking forward to coming back and to sharing some more.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll definitely have you back. You were going to be talking again after the show, but I want to say thank you everybody for joining us tonight. It's always such a beautiful experience to have everybody. I can literally feel you guys. I can feel you, and I know we're all enjoying. We're all on this experience together. We're all on this journey together. And when we have teachers and guides like Suha, it makes the experience that much more beautiful and rewarding. So I just want to say thank you for joining us, and thank you for being with us. We'll be back again next week with a new show. And again, sign up for our newsletter, and we look forward to seeing you next week. So take care, and I'm sending you love and light, everyone. Thank you again, Suha, for being with us, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.